Have you ever pondered over the mysteries shrouded in the ancient language of Sanskrit? This question is not just a thought, but a fascinating journey into the past. Today, we're embarking on an adventure to a time where the language of Sanskrit was the medium of expression and wisdom. Sanskrit, often referred to as the mother of all languages, is one of the oldest languages in the world. Its origins are traced back to the Indian subcontinent, where it became the language of the scholars, the poets, and the philosophers. It was the canvas upon which ideas were painted and wisdom was etched. The significance of Sanskrit extends far beyond its geographical origins. It was not just a language, but a key that unlocked the doors to a rich cultural and intellectual heritage. It was the language in which the ancient scriptures and texts of Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism were written, preserving the wisdom, philosophies, and teachings of these religions for future generations. Sanskrit was the medium through which the Vedas, the Upanishads, and the Bhagavad Gita spoke to the world. It was the language of the Mahabharata and the Ramayana, epic tales that continue to fascinate and inspire. It was the language of the sutras, the ancient manuals of wisdom, and the language of the mantras, the spiritual hymns that resonate with tranquility and peace. But Sanskrit was not just a language of religion and philosophy, it was also a language of science, of mathematics, of astronomy. It was the language of the scholars who made groundbreaking discoveries and contributions in various fields, many of which continue to be relevant today. The enigma of Sanskrit is not just about its age or its origins. It is about the wisdom it carries, the heritage it represents, and the mysteries it continues to shroud. It is about the way it has shaped civilizations and influenced cultures. It is about its resilience and its evolution. Now embark on a journey with us as we decipher and unravel the mysteries of this ancient language. As we delve into the depths of Sanskrit, we'll discover a world of wisdom, a world of wonder, and a world of mysteries waiting to be unraveled. Imagine a time when the world was young and so was language. This is where the story of Sanskrit begins. In the dawn of human civilization, language was a fledgling tool, taking its first steps in the vast expanse of human expression. From this primordial linguistic soup, the Proto-Indo-European language family emerged, eventually giving birth to Sanskrit. Sanskrit's cradle was the ancient land of India during the Vedic period, which extended from around 1500 to 500 BCE. Here, this newborn language would find fertile ground to grow, develop, and flourish. The Vedic period was a time of profound spiritual and philosophical exploration. It was during this time that some of the world's oldest texts were composed in Sanskrit. These included the Vedas, intricate hymns and mantras dedicated to the pantheon of Vedic gods, and the Upanishads, profound philosophical discussions on the nature of reality and the self. These texts were more than mere literature. They were the vessels that carried the wisdom and knowledge of the ancient world. They explored themes of morality, spirituality, and the mysteries of the universe, all expressed in the rich, complex language of Sanskrit. Sanskrit was not just a language of the divine, but also of the mundane. It was used in day-to-day communication, in royal decrees, and in scholarly debates. This versatility, combined with its structured grammar and vast vocabulary, made Sanskrit a language of choice for scholars, poets, and philosophers. From its humble beginnings, Sanskrit developed into a sophisticated language, capable of expressing the most profound thoughts and the most subtle nuances of human experience. It became a tool for humans to explore the world around them and the world within them, a tool that would shape the course of Indian thought and culture for millennia to come. And thus, from the fertile plains of ancient India, Sanskrit began its journey, carrying with it the wisdom of ages. Sanskrit, in its prime, was the beacon of knowledge and wisdom. Let's explore this golden age. In the annals of history, there's a period often referred to as the classical Sanskrit era. This epoch stands out as a time when Sanskrit was not just a language but a vessel carrying the weight of a civilization's intellect and culture. This golden age was marked by the standardization of grammar by a scholar named Panini, an event that laid the groundwork for the language's future growth. Panini, through his work, transformed Sanskrit into a linguistic framework that was precise, comprehensive, and incredibly sophisticated. His grammatical treatise, Ashtadhyayi, is a marvel of intellectual achievement that continues to astound scholars to this day. It's thanks to Panini that Sanskrit was able to blossom into a language capable of expressing complex philosophical, scientific, and artistic ideas. And blossom it did. Sanskrit became the cradle of literature, science, and philosophy. It was the medium through which great epics like the Mahabharata and Ramayana were penned, where treatises on astronomy, mathematics, and medicine were written, and where profound philosophies were debated and immortalized. But the influence of Sanskrit during this golden age was not confined to the Indian subcontinent. It radiated outwards, touching the far corners of the world. The language and its literature found their way to Southeast Asia, influencing the cultures of Cambodia, Indonesia, and Thailand. In the West, scholars in Europe were drawn to the complexity and depth of Sanskrit, leading to the birth of comparative linguistics and Indology. Sanskrit was a language of the learned, a language of the noble, and a language of the spiritual. It was the language of a civilization at its peak, radiating its wisdom and knowledge far and wide. This was the zenith of Sanskrit, a language that illuminated the world with its wisdom. As we move forward, we'll delve into the decline and modern status of this ancient language, but for now, let's bask in the glory of its golden age. And so we arrive at the conclusion of the golden era. This was the zenith of Sanskrit, a language that illuminated the world with its wisdom. Every empire has its fall, and so did the reign of Sanskrit, but it's far from forgotten. As we move forward in time, the golden age of Sanskrit began to wane. The language that once was the cornerstone of intellectual discourse and literature in the Indian subcontinent started to lose its prominence. Persian, Arabic, and later English languages began to occupy the central stage. The decline of Sanskrit was not sudden, it was a gradual process that took place over centuries. The reasons behind this decline were many and complex. One critical factor was the changing political landscape of India. The arrival of foreign invaders, who brought with them their languages and cultures, led to a shift in the linguistic preference. Over time, Sanskrit became less common in everyday conversation and more associated with the realm of religion, philosophy, and classical literature. But the story of Sanskrit does not end with its decline, far from it. In its modern avatar, Sanskrit is still very much alive, albeit in a different form. It is preserved in the liturgical rituals of Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism. The chants, hymns, and mantras that echo in temples and religious ceremonies across India are in Sanskrit, keeping the language alive in the spiritual domain. Moreover, Sanskrit has seen a resurgence in academia worldwide. Scholars, linguists, and historians continue to study and explore this ancient language for its rich literary heritage and its contributions to various fields of knowledge. Universities across the globe offer courses in Sanskrit, attracting students who are fascinated by its complexity and beauty. In India, efforts are underway to revive the language. The government has instituted measures to promote the learning of Sanskrit in schools and universities. There are dedicated television channels and radio stations that broadcast programs exclusively in Sanskrit. Despite the ebbs and flows of time, Sanskrit continues to echo in the corridors of history and culture. Its journey may have been marked by periods of decline, but its legacy remains intact, resonating in the hearts of those who seek to explore the treasures it holds. From the dawn of civilization to the modern world, the journey of Sanskrit is indeed fascinating. Born amidst the ancient Indus Valley, Sanskrit blossomed during its golden age, shaping science, philosophy, and the arts. Yet even as it faced decline, it refused to fade away, retaining its status in the modern world. It's a testament to the resilience of this language and its enduring influence. As we close this chapter, we leave you with the thought, Sanskrit, an ancient language, continues to be a living bridge to our past.